Battery. Yes, now that we've extracted some cells from the battery inside, it is time to actually test them. And unfortunately, I can't easily lick both sides of this to tell if it's good or not, so we're gonna have to do something a little bit more sophisticated maybe. And to that end, it's time to introduce the worst thing I've ever made. It doesn't quite fit in frame. I mean, half of this is just unused wood. The other half of this is what they tell you not to do in electronics class. We've got a 35 amp switch here. We've got some wiring. We've got two H4, well, just 3-prong light bulb sockets, and we've got some ring terminals. So the idea here is hook battery up to the ring terminals, plug in some lights, grab my multimeter and get voltage readings, flip it on, and the lights are going to be a, I think, 10 amp draw on the battery, and that will give us a good idea of if the cell is good or not. And of course, I'm going to have a spreadsheet where I keep track of what voltage readings we get at what points in the cell being discharged. So it's all very scientific, and I need to try and find a flat surface that I can do this on because my workbench is a bit full of everything. So what we have going here on the bench is we've got the test rig set up. We've got the meter of many things hooked up to the positives and negatives here. And the nice thing about the ring terminals is that I can use the original binding posts to put them in here. Even without flipping the switch on, I can go ahead and turn my meter on to check the voltage and polarity. And it is the correct polarity because I do want to make sure that my switch is on the negative side so I don't get any potential arcing from, you know, my lots of voltage going through here. And then we've got two H4 or 9003 if you prefer Sylvania cheap bulbs that we'll put in here, which makes my test rig an absurdly large flashlight with the power of 2 car headlights, which is cool. Crap, I need a laptop. I'm missing in action apparently. I think we are about ready to do science. I've got a timer, I've got a spreadsheet here which is untitled because reasons. I've got a grease pen so I can mark which cell this is, and I've got my batteries here, so I think we're ready to hit start and then flip the switch, but I'm going to set the camera down because I need both hands. Okay, hand ready on the start button and the switch because I have to flip those both at the same time, and go. All right. Already down to 5.7. Let's just take note. 10 seconds, 5.67 volts. Oh man, that's dropping quick. 5.61, 5.60, 5.59. We're 26 seconds now. 30, we've got 5.54 volts. And so now we'll come back at 5 minutes, but that means I have a couple seconds to show you what's going on here. All right, so we got the timer counting up. I've got my starting voltage, 10:35, 10:20 minute mark. And here we've got not as bright as expected. This is the high and low beam filaments turned on. Just check, none of this wiring feels warm or anything like that. That's good. No losses there, but look at how quickly the voltage is just plummeting on this. And that should hold at like 7.4 for, I think, 10 minutes at least. At any rate, it definitely shouldn't be going down that quickly. So battery number 1 here is a definite fail. So I'll come back to you guys in 20 minutes and we'll see what this thing gets down to. Well, no use beating it when it's already dead. I cut it off at 5 minutes, at which point it dropped down to 5.27 volts. Now I just picked another stick at random, put a 2 on it, and it looks like we're hooked up the right direction. We've got 7.82 starting volts, so let's get this party started. Okay, here we go. Starting the timer and turning on the light. 7.23 volts, already looking way healthier than the first one. All right, 30 seconds, 7.09. The lights are quite a bit brighter on this one. I'm not entirely sure if this quick of a draw is normal or not. I'm gonna guess it probably is because these aren't like lithium ions where one of their sort of distinct things is a discharge curve that's like this, where it stays at the top voltage until it gets almost all the way depleted. These have more of a linear depletion curve, if I remember correctly, and this kind of is in line with the amount of time Like if this was my state of charge indicator, wow, those are warm. If this was my state of charge indicator in the car, going from full to empty being, 7.8 volts and probably more like 3-4 volts, this is probably about the speed that I'd expect it to deplete, though it seems to have slowed down its discharge rate here at 6.9 volts, which is sort of interesting. We're just 1 minute 33 seconds into this. While that keeps on trucking, I might as well get the rest of these cells out of here. So I stopped this test at 15 minutes 12 seconds because it got down to 1.74 volts under load, and I added another column here for ending volts, which is just kind of what the cell seems to stabilize at about 5 minutes after we've done the test. So let's see, this one's at a 7.17 volts after resting. So now I get to do this with the other 18 or so cells, and yeah, this is going to get real tedious, isn't it? Whoop. So it's been a couple of weeks, and there's a couple of problems with my flashlight discharger here. First of all, the 10 amp discharge, some people have told me, isn't quite ideal. You really want to discharge at a slower rate and then charge, and then cycle it 3 times. And manually cycling every single one of these through this and then through the grid charger, that would take months. And it's already been several weeks of not being able to use the Insight, and honestly I would really like for it to be drivable again. So I've gone and just bought something to make my life much, much easier. Over here on my desk, surrounded by financial paperwork and fast food sauce packets, is a Durtrax IntelliPeak ICE charger and a Force Racing DC power supply. I got this for about $50 on YouTube, and I have it doing 8 amp charges and 1 amp discharges, multiple cycles to each one of these batteries, and it does that automatically. It can actually do up to a 10 amp discharge if you like, but this is just kind of what a couple members of the community said to do on the Facebook group. It's really, really, really hard for me to actually find, like, there's no wiki or anything. There is a thread on Insight Central, which is a wonderful resource if you have the time to dig through all of it, for all sorts of stuff pertaining to insights, but I haven't found like an idiot's guide to refreshing these cells. And as near as I can tell, actually refreshing individual cells has kind of fallen out of favor in favor of just doing whole pack discharges and charges with the grid charger and just cycling it that way. But I'm hoping that I can just find one of these that is absolute trash, replace it, and my pack will go back to being good enough for now. So this is going to cycle every single battery here, all 20 of them. It'll take a couple of weeks, and then I should be good to reassemble the pack, but we'll see. I've got a few done already, but this is going to be quite the process no matter what. So there we go. I built a goofy flashlight to try and save these weird orange sticks, and then just gave up and spent some money on a product that's actually designed for doing that. This thing is for the hobby RC market primarily. It's for reconditioning nickel metal hydrate cells for RC boats and stuff. And I got it wrong in the last video. These aren't NiCad, these are nickel metal hydrate. I kept getting the two confused because, well, similar name is similar, and I am a very simple person. But regardless of simplicity, that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching.